The NHL trade rumor mill is absolutely going bananas with some huge news on the Philadelphia Flyers and potential big trades involving Travis Konecny and Scott Laughton, some big rumors surrounding the Penguins potentially going after Erik Karlsson, and some huge news regarding the Calgary Flames and a potential fire sale that we could see this offseason. But what are the latest trade rumors and latest news? Well, make sure you watch till the end for every single bit of it, and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more trade rumor content just like this all year round. You won't want to miss it. Now let's first talk about the Calgary Flames in today's trade rumor episode and the craziness that went down yesterday. Frank Seravalli in just a few tweets in under an hour, basically destroying any hope that anybody had in this Calgary Flames franchise. And with the 2024 offseason, how many UFAs they had, all eyes were on Calgary to see who they would end up re-signing. But it seems like up to this point, the bulk of those free agents won't be staying with the Calgary Flames. Now the first tweet here from Frank Seravalli says this: Calgary recently made a pitch, rolled out the red carpet to try to sign Elias Lindholm. Calgary is waiting on a response from Lindholm and haven't been given a definitive answer yet, but league speculation is he's leaning towards not re-signing with the Calgary Flames. Now, this isn't all too surprising. We've already seen Frank Seravalli put in Lindholm in trade rumors and everything, and it's not really a surprise if he's even traded this offseason around the draft especially, but it seems like one of their bigger fish is really just officially gone now from Calgary, even though the Flames may have made such an effort already to re-sign him. But Elias Lindholm is a big-time player, man, and with the right line mates, he can be an excellent dual-threat offensive guy and could be an excellent addition for any NHL team looking for a center. I mean, we look at a team like Columbus and how much they need centermen. I would not be surprised if Lindholm is a part of their huge offseason so far. But then going on to the second tweet from Frank Seravalli talking about the Flames and another big blow for their franchise, he said this: the belief is the Flames have received a more direct answer from defenseman Noah Hanifin, who has clearly indicated that he does not plan to sign an extension in Calgary. That doesn't necessarily guarantee a trade, but Calgary has an answer on where he stands. And to me, it's another situation where with how much Hanifin is kind of just checked out from the Flames, there's no reason to not trade him. If you can get solid enough value, even though he clearly wants out, then there's no reason for the Flames not to make a trade like that. I just don't feel like having a player who is so obviously on his way out from Calgary is the best idea, especially with their locker room situation that already isn't in a great place in the first place. But then going on to the third tweet here from Frank Seravalli, finally on the Flames, and it wouldn't be finally, by the way. Bit of a surprise, told Mikael Backlund is also leaning towards not re-signing in Calgary. That could change, and the Flames hope it does. He's been a staple for 15 years. Nonetheless, Craig Conroy has decisions to make. But from Frank Seravalli, not finally, because there will be another tweet here, not to throw another log on the fire for the Flames, but the potential exodus continues. I'm told Tyler Toffoli also plans to not re-sign with the Calgary Flames. And I just gotta say, I gotta put out this announcement. Frank Seravalli will likely be tweeting this soon, but I also plan to not be re-signing with the Calgary Flames. I know it's a big shocking piece of news, but I just needed to put my truth out there because, I mean, everybody's leaving the Calgary Flames. I'm leaving the Calgary Flames. You're leaving the Calgary Flames. Everybody's leaving the Calgary Flames. But just in like a couple hours, we saw Lindholm, Backlund, Hanifin, Toffoli, all of these humongous UFAs for the Calgary Flames in 2024 basically have no chance of re-signing. And we all knew that 2024 offseason was going to be huge for them, but it's looking to be an absolute dud for them, and something that might bring some much needed change, but definitely stings right now. Now, also from Elliotte Friedman on 32 Thoughts, I think the Flames have prioritized two guys, Hanifin and Lindholm, and the other guys have seen that and realized they aren't the priority. And combine that with the Flames being tight on term, and that's why we are here. And then with a picture of Tyler Toffoli, it makes sense. Toffoli could be another player that goes on his way out just because of that non-priority. And then we get also some more news here from the win column saying Calgary planned wanting to know about Hanifin and Lindholm first. Hanifin wants to go back to the U.S. Lindholm decision has not been formally made. Backlund has been offered the captaincy, but they're not close on a contract. And then, of course, some more Elliotte Friedman notes. Calgary went to Hanifin and Lindholm first, and other players said, I'm not the priority here. Likely Tyler Toffoli, likely Mikael Backlund. Flames are being tight on term on all contracts, which is another reason why we might not see a player like Tyler Toffoli specifically stay there. The Flames are going after Anthony Duclair, potential for Hanifin Zadorov. The players did not get along this season, which a lot of this makes sense. I mean, it makes sense why the Flames would reach out and offer the captaincy to Backlund, but again, there might be some hesitancy there. Hanifin, there was some reports even just a week ago that he wanted to go back to the U.S., wanted to go to a U.S. team, and it looks all but confirmed that that's going to happen. Potentially, we could see a Florida Panthers connection. We've heard rumors about them trying to go after him with Montour and Ekblad out with injury for the start of the season. So the Panthers could be the team to end up trading for Hanifin, which I think makes a lot of sense stylistically. I think Hanifin would fit pretty well there, and once players like Ekblad, once players like the big guys are finally there with Montour healthy, I think Hanifin would be in a perfect position, potentially on a middle pair, but would be great, I think, with Florida. And Duclair would be interesting to the Flames and could give them some speed and some pop that they don't have a lot of in that line. But even though it doesn't look like it'll be a complete teardown, it does look like a pretty big fire sale will be upcoming with the Calgary Flames this offseason. So many big-time UFAs that will likely be out of the team, potentially even in just next couple of months. So we'll see how the Flames rebound. We'll see if they try to go for more win-now players, like they mentioned, with going after Duclair and a potential Noah Hanifin trade. The Flames could use this to get back in the conversation, but like Seravalli mentions, Craig Conroy is going to be a busy man in his first year as a GM because this ain't going to be easy, I'll tell you that. But next up, let's move on to the Philadelphia Flyers and their current process in their rebuild, and a lot of different potential trades that we could see, and a lot of new info as well on the players that they are looking to trade. This one on Scott Laughton is absolutely fascinating. NHL insider Frank Seravalli reported on the DFO Rundown podcast today that Denny Briere has already turned down a haul for Scott Laughton. 25th or 29th overall pick and a future second round pick. St. Louis GM Doug Armstrong had Scott Laughton at the Worlds and really liked him. Seravalli said there's other teams the Flyers have also been engaged with, and then goes on to say who had Scott Laughton been in war on the cards this offseason. But it really makes a lot of sense. Scott Laughton is a player that, sure, the Flyers could keep around and does have good leadership there especially, but if you're going to get a haul for him, if you're going to get a Tanner Jeannot type of haul for him, then why the heck not? I mean, already teams are willing to give up a first and a second round pick for Laughton, which I would already take if all the context was avoided, but Denny Briere knows the type of commodity he has here. Scott Laughton in his prime could be a solid goal-scoring physical player with that great leadership, and we've again seen players like Tanner Jeannot get that absolute bag just for that type of play. And I think Laughton can be in a much better situation there too for the Flyers. So it's a situation where I think Denny Briere is playing his cards right here, and I think he could get more than just a first round and a second round pick. I mean, Scott Laughton, I think, could be a precious commodity this offseason that people don't quite realize is going to get as much as he does back for Philly. But Briere is playing his cards right here well. St. Louis could be a big fit, and they've already offered a massive haul for him too. And you see what Scott Laughton's done. Even this last year with Philadelphia's offense completely barren. He got 18 goals, 43 points in 78 games, 30 points in 67 games the year before that, and has proven to be a pretty solid scorer and a pretty solid physical player there too. And you can see in the World Championships for Canada was huge. 8 points in 10 games there. And he's a player that, although I don't think you should be spending that much on, does bring a lot of great characteristics. And as a really great third line, solid second line player, I can see a lot of teams going after him, loving that physical play, loving that little solid offensive scoring. And I think Laughton is a player that, although might not be worth the haul he's getting, it makes sense why teams are going after him, especially, of course, the importance that Vegas had physically. Laughton would definitely fit that bill for a lot of teams. Now, there was also this news as well in the Philadelphia Flyers. Frank Seravalli notes that Daniel Briere, the newly appointed general manager of the Flyers, is prepared to take action. As the Flyers set out on a journey of rebuilding, Briere is determined to be assertive in initiating the process. Insider sources indicate that he's been actively attentive and participating in trade discussions concerning a multitude of players on the team's roster. In fact, there were indications of a possible deal involving Kevin Hayes in recent days. The Hurricanes, Stars, Wild, Red Wings, and Blue Jackets were among those to kick tires. Travis Konecny, Scott Laughton, Carter Hart, and Tony DeAngelo are other names the Flyers are looking at dealing. However, amidst all the potential trades, one player remains off limits for the Flyers in Cutter Gauthier, and that makes sense. I mean, why the heck would the Flyers trade Cutter Gauthier with how good of a season he's had and just the situation they're in. Obviously, Gauthier is pretty much a non-negotiable, but everybody else, it seems like for the Flyers, is on the table. I mean, names as big as Travis Konecny and Carter Hart are out there and are being involved in trade discussions, and for the Flyers, it seems like this could be an offseason for the ages in terms of the haul they could end up getting, and honestly, I hope they go for it. It seems like Briere has the exact perfect mindset for what the Flyers need, a rebuild that has been in the need for so long. Briere being the guy to finally make it happen is amazing, and it looks like the Flyers could be sending a lot of players out. But for contending teams, I mean, players like Travis Konecny, Scott Laughton, Carter Hart, these are names that could really help you, especially in the playoffs, and a lot of teams will be calling in on Philadelphia this offseason. I also wanted to touch on some more notes in this article. The Coyotes looking to be more competitive. According to Frank Seravalli of Daily Faceoff, the Coyotes are looking at changing the way they do business with player contracts. He knows that the Coyotes are poised for a significant turnaround. Their focus is on enhancing their competitiveness in the upcoming year. They believe they can advance into the next stage of their development. As a result, it's crucial to note that they won't be parting ways with valuable players such as Auston Krause, Nick Schmaltz, and obviously Clayton Keller, who were previously considered potential trade targets on our radar throughout last season. Then there's also this note as well on the Devils and Hellebuyck. As per Pierre-Luc's report, the Devils are one of the teams actively interested in pursuing and involved in pursuing Connor Hellebuyck. Furthermore, LeBrun reveals that the Devils have reached out to the Jets to express their interest in signing the Vezina caliber goaltender to a contract extension. While they are interested in extending Hellebuyck's contract, they are hesitant about committing to a salary similar to that of Andre Vasilevsky and around the $9.5 million that Hellebuyck is rumored to be seeking. So that's a big thing. I mean, the Devils have had such interest in Hellebuyck really throughout all this process, but like we saw with Hellebuyck and him asking for big time money, at least in the $9 million range, that could turn some teams off. Now, personally for me, if Hellebuyck stays at the Hellebuyck level, that's worth having on your team. I mean, Hellebuyck is one of the best goalies, top 5 at the very least when he's on his game, and $9.5 million I think would be fair for that, at least for his situation and the role he's got, and also how much of a pay cut he took on his last contract. You can't blame Hellebuyck for looking for $9 million money. He's worth that when he's healthy and when he's consistent, and he's deserved that type of money for a long time as well. And then going on to some more as well, some more interesting rumors. Darren Dreger reports that the Montreal Canadiens and LA Kings are certainly interested in Dubois, but they aren't the only ones, saying it isn't a two-horse race. More teams are likely in the mix. He noted the Kings have salary cap concerns, and the Canadiens are happy enough to wait for free agency if the other choice is to overpay and trade. In other Jets news, Darren Dreger of TSN is reporting that the possibility of a buyout for Blake Wheeler is something the Jets are looking at. As has been the case since the buyout period opened, this is an option for the Winnipeg Jets and Blake Wheeler. There is some trade interest, so the Jets continue to work through the process. So some more big Jets news there as well, but like we'd also seen in the past, I mean, with people saying the Canadiens were the only option for Dubois, that was just never really a possibility. So many other teams are looking to be in on Dubois. We, of course, heard the rumors of the LA Kings, and now more teams potentially in the mix, not just that are good fits, but could be going after him as well. And a Blake Wheeler trade as well would not go all too crazy either. I mean, there would have to be some massive salary retention for sure, but Blake Wheeler won't be a Jet this next year. That much remains clear. And then we go on to potential Pittsburgh Penguin news here. And Elliotte Friedman on 32 Thoughts podcast talks about how Dubois was in Toronto. He looked at Erik Karlsson. Not sure how Pittsburgh even makes that work. Also wonders if Dubois puts his first rounder on the table for a goalie. However, he says that he doesn't think Dubois is a John Gibson guy. Now, some huge news in a bunch of different directions here, and he talks about how Dubois could have interest in Erik Karlsson. We heard, of course, just a little bit ago how Karlsson and the Sharks have been open about how likely a trade is going to be happening this offseason. Karlsson will be on the move. It's just a matter of who ends up getting him. The Penguins would be absolutely wild. To me, if I'm the Penguins, I'm absolutely not making a deal like that, just because I feel like you already have your offensive D and Chris Letang, and adding another player onto that with the cap and the long term that he has, I just feel like would be a massive mistake for them, and I feel like some more defense would be needed. Maybe just a two-way guy in general would be needed there in Pittsburgh, but some big news there. We could see the Penguins go after Erik Karlsson, and then as well, going on that first rounder for a goalie. I mean, the Penguins are in an interesting position. They got that 14th overall pick, a really solid pick there with some great options, and to me, I think any team would love to go after that. I mean, maybe there's a chance, and again, we have heard barely anything about this, but we have heard some whispers around potentially a UC Saros trade in Nashville. They're going to go full rebuild. Maybe that's something the Penguins could get rid of, that first round pick, that 14th overall pick, and the Preds could have back-to-back picks, something like that. But the fact that they aren't Dubois isn't a John Gibson guy is huge, considering John Gibson is, of course, a Pittsburgh native. And, of course, there was a connection around John Gibson if we would see a trade with Pittsburgh. But it doesn't seem like that's going to end up happening. Now, could it be a Connor Hellebuyck, perhaps? That could absolutely be on the table. But it seems like the first round pick might be on the table to get an even a bigger goaltender with potentially some term on the contract. But going back to the Karlsson idea, the only thing that I think could really make this trade make sense is if Jeff Petrie, I guess, is a part of the deal going back to San Jose. He was fine for Pittsburgh this year, but if you can get rid of that cap, then I think Karlsson is a lot more manageable for the Penguins. Obviously makes their cap hit situation a lot more manageable too, but we'll see what the Penguins do. It's obvious they're going to be extremely active this offseason, as they should be. I mean, the status quo the past few years has simply not been good enough, and the Penguins are in a position where they need to go as big, as brash as possible to end these Sidney Crosby years. And I mean, getting Erik Karlsson would certainly be crazy. I mean, if you are able to trade Jeff Petrie, then I could see it working out for them. But alongside Chris Tanev, that would be a massive couple of offensive D-men to have. But going for the goaltending, that's a lot more likely to see a big trade with the Penguins. But let's rule out John Gibson, apparently, because I guess that's not happening anymore. But that's going to be it for today's trade rumor roundup. If you did enjoy, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on all the trade rumors today surrounding the Penguins, surrounding big ones around the Flyers, as well as the Flames, and everything we talked about. Let us know down below, what trades do you guys see happening? Of course, make sure you share the video with all the hockey fans you guys know online. Get all the trade rumors out there, and click on this card for all my trade rumor content right on the playlist. My name is Nathan. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.